Hi, my name is John Arana, and this is Karina San Martin, our
Hey guys,
daughter.
what's up?
We are here at the dropping truth and bringing life. And we're so glad that you're here with us today. Remember, share the link with somebody. Help us to get the word out there.
Yeah,
but we've been talking about love matters most.
Yes, it's been so good.
It is the key thing to it all. And so one of the things we started saying in the last episode is that love is an action.
That's right, yeah.
And because it's an action, love is patient. That's an action.
Yes.
Love is kind.
Yep.
That's an action.
Yep.
And then we talked about the first two of four actions of being kind. And it says love sees the need and does something about it, and then love sympathizes with the person that is in need, and therefore that's why is moved to action. So that's kind of where we left off, and we're springboarding off of the story of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
You know, where the guy was robbed and beat up, and then the priest came by, didn't do anything.
Yep.
The Levite came by, two religious people didn't do anything.
And those were people that I remember you shared that they technically had obligation
Yes.
to care for the man who had been
under the law.
Yeah, under the law,
Yeah.
but that they didn't do it even out of their obligation.
And they didn't even do it out of obligation
right,
to
yeah.
obey the law. So, and again, which proves that if you are governed by law and not by love,
That's
then
right.
your heart is cold.
Right, yeah, it doesn't come from your heart or from the right place.
That's right.
And that makes a really big difference. And we talked about that in our last episode about the motives behind what you do, and that when love motivates you, you know, that not only do things come out different, but I think you experience what you do different.
Yeah, I think when you act in love, it comes back to you.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
it's just kind of like it reciprocates
Yeah.
somehow. It might not be that person, but it might be someone else in your life at some point.
Yeah,
but we left off on those two, and we'd like to try to finish the other two things that kindness does.
Right.
And what's the next
the
one?
next one is that it seizes the moment.
It does.
And I think that is so cool, and we see that, you know,
in the story.
Yeah. And that he goes to him, the Samaritan tends to his wounds, and you know, he takes time to approach him and to meet him in that moment exactly where he's at. Even though he had no obligation, but because his heart was genuine, it was filled with love and compassion.
That's right.
You know, that he saw that moment and he saw what was needed, but he did something about it.
I think this kind of reminds me of when we first started the church. You know, money was not there, so you know, things were tight and very lean, and we were tired, and we had no money for vacation, and so I prayed, and I said, Lord, I work for you. You know, I need a break, and the Lord, in my heart, I felt the Lord's voice saying to me, well, what do you need? And of course I said, well, I need $500 to take my daughters and my wife on a little vacation. And so the Lord, in my heart, I felt the Lord's voice saying, don't worry about it. You know, so just keep going, do your business, and don't worry about it. So I kept doing the church and everything, and then about, I don't know, a week later or something, this guy shows up. I hadn't seen him in like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't seen this guy in 10 years.
That's
and he
crazy.
shows up, and he says, can I talk to the pastor? So they brought him in, and he said, hey, how you doing? I'm like, oh, my goodness. His name is Mike Clue.
Mike Clue.
Mike Clue.
Okay,
I remember him. Never forget him.
Oh, wow.
And he said,
that's cool.
I hope that you don't take this the wrong way, but the Lord moved in my heart and told me I had to come today, and I had to give you this. And I'm like, well, what is it? And so he took out his wallet and he gave me five $100 bills.
Oh my gosh.
And he
that's
said,
awesome.
I don't know why 5 or 6, but this is what God put in my heart.
Exactly what you said you needed.
And I thought, oh my gosh. So, you know, this guy's
amazing.
heart of compassion seized the moment.
Yeah.
And because he loved me as a friend, he did that for me.
That's awesome.
But
That's
the
awesome.
other thing I thought of, man, if I thought it was going to be this easy, I would have asked for more.
1,000. God, I really need 1,000. That's a lesson learned, I guess, for next time.
Yeah, next time. Love seizes the moment.
Yeah, that's so good.
Because
That's
you
so
want to
good.
benefit the other
Yeah.
person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
And I think what's very cool about this point about, how you can seize the moment in your life with others is, I think it's really easy to get caught up in our own worlds.
Yes.
Like what we have going
Absolutely.
on and I think it's no matter what stage of life you're
Sure.
in. Like if you're married with little kids or you're married with no kids or whatever, like there's always life that is busy, that is always going, life never stops, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But seizing the moment is about not just noticing what someone else needs, but it's about doing something about what they need. And
responding.
Yeah, like finding whatever you have as a resource or, whatever you can do to care for that person, to love that person, to show that person, like we've been talking about, the actions that are behind love. And that's when I think love takes real life form. And it's not just this concept anymore, but it's this thing that we exchange with each other that actually matters in everyday life.
It's not just words anymore.
Yeah.
It's action.
Yeah.
That's why, the main theme of this story for me is action. Mm-hmm. Love is an action. It's not just words.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, well, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Right.
But then they're only living for themselves and they leave you behind.
Right.
And you're going like, wow, what is this about?
Right.
And so I think people need to realize that love is not an emotion, but love is an action that's motivated to benefit the other person, even at my own expense.
Sure.
And I think that's why this story is so cool, because this guy takes initiative. He sees the need, and he's not thinking, well, who is he?
Yeah.
Is he like me? Is he from my ethnic background? Do I know him?
How did he get here?
Yeah.
He wasn't like judging him or
did
evaluating
he deserve
him.
this?
Yeah, like did he steal from someone and they came and they took from him? Took back from him. And I think that's the beautiful thing about a genuine love, is that love just sees the person where they're at.
Exactly.
And meets them where they're at. Because if you think about it, like that's exactly what God does for us.
That's it.
He even though he knows how we got there, and I think a lot of times when we're in a mess, it's because we got ourselves there. Most of the time, not always,
99.9.
but most of the time, And it's like the Lord doesn't sit back and look at us and say, okay, well, if you hadn't done this, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
So, I'm going to let you just take care of this on your own.
Or he doesn't say like most people say, well, hey, you deserve that.
Yeah.
You deal with it now.
Right. Yeah, because he genuinely loves us. And,
I think that's why I like this Proverbs 3:27 that says, do good when opportunity presents itself. But
That's
then
really
he says, don't wait.
Don't wait. Yeah.
Don't wait.
Yeah.
And sometimes opportunity presents itself, but we're too busy or we have an important engagement, and that's understandable.
Right.
But sometimes we just kind of look the other way and just keep going.
Yeah.
And so if you really love someone, then you learn to take action.
Yeah, this is so good. And, something I'm learning about myself these days, I've been researching.
Of raising family, three kids,
and just,
have a husband.
For real, man. When you have
a lot of responsibility in the ministry.
I think when you have kids, you really start to see or realize maybe your own true colors, how you really are, because the kids can bring the best out of you, but then they can bring the worst out of you sometimes,
It's a growing experience.
Yeah. And so I'm learning a lot about my personality, and because you're my dad, I know I've shared with you about the Enneagrams, and I'm type 2, the helper, and so I'm learning, there's always a healthy place that you can go to, but there's also an unhealthy place you can go to with your personality type. So one of my tendencies tendencies of the helper that can become unhealthy is to love and to help.
Okay.
But you expect that in return.
Sure.
And the unhealthy side is that you don't do it if you don't get it in return.
Right.
The healthy side is saying, this is who you are. You should love and help whether they give it back to you or not. Because it's you being true to yourself. And so I'm learning that, and it's so true, because love is something that we can't do with the underlying motive to get.
Right.
That's not what real love
Otherwise, it's manipulative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
love is not manipulative.
Right. And I love that the Samaritan, like, there was literally nothing in it for him.
Nothing in it.
Like, zero.
In fact,
zero.
The next one is that love
spend whatever it takes.
Since it's an action, love spends resources, invests resources, and this guy spend money.
On a perfect stranger.
Of his own pocket. So that he can be taken care of in the inn. And then he told the innkeeper, if what I've given you is not enough, when I come back, I will give you the difference. So, man,
that's so cool.
Who does that? You know, well, here it is. The Samaritan was truly demonstrating the heart of God.
That's right.
Which is love. And love spends. It's another action, invests in people.
That's right,
You know, I learned one story from a guy. He said, and it was really actually my spiritual mentor and father. He said, Dr. Cole, Edwin Lewis Cole, he said, every time you go on a trip, you need to bring something to your wife and to your kids. And I asked him, why?
What's the big deal?
He said, because think about it. They're also sacrificing for the ministry, you know? And so you want them to equate a good thing with the ministry and that sacrifice.
So good.
So, you know, I would go and I would spend money and I would bring,
I remember
you know,
that stuff that you
sometimes
brought back.
Little things.
Sometimes it was a pencil.
Yeah, sometimes remember
London
one time I brought a pencil.
But I thought,
from a different
this
country.
is so cool, because I'm going to take this to school and everyone's going to know my dad went to London.
And so I would have to, you know, you have to spend money. You have to spend resources. If you love your kids, then you do the best you can to invest resources in their life. Because that's an action.
You know, just recently, we, after 2 years of avoiding the bullet of COVID, we caught COVID in our house. But it's fine. We got through it and everything. But you know, while first I had it and we thought we were in the clear, but then Serge showed up with it.
It's a domino effect.
Then the Leo and then Evie. And anyways, long story short, while I was out of commission, quarantined in my room for 5 full days, which felt like an eternity, our church family just took so good care of us. Like, it was just like, it's funny because at first I told Serge, you know, hey babe, like, I can ask people to send us food for dinner. Like, do you want me to cover dinner? He was like, no, it's fine, I got it. And I was like, you're gonna want dinner brought to you, trust me.
You're okay the first night, but then after that,
you're gonna want the dinners. And so, and I didn't even have to ask. People just like kept saying, hey, we're gonna take care of dinner. Hey, and I'm like, for me or the whole family? Because I'm like, 5 people is a lot to when you're doing DoorDash and you're doing a restaurant. Like, it's not cheap.
No.
And you know, so everybody like, no, your whole family, you know, this. And I know that, like, people dished out at least $50.
Of course.
Every time they sent us a meal. And it's because that's genuine love.
That's right.
You know,
they invest.
It was such a blessing. And that's what I'm saying too. When you love, you bless others, but you also, it's also a blessing on yourself too, because you're giving, and like you said, it does come back to you.
Yeah, because love is the desire to benefit someone else.
That's right.
Even at your own expense. So it's an action that costs you something, you know? And so sometimes it's time, sometimes it's your talent, sometimes it's your treasure. But again, love is an action that spends and it invests.
That's so good.
We have 2 action steps that we want to give you before we close this segment. And one of them is be willing to be interrupted.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
You know? Because opportunities are going to come your way. but they're not always going to come at a convenient time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure this Samaritan was on his way to do business somewhere.
He was going somewhere
and
for a
all
reason.
of a sudden, now he's got to take hours to deal with this situation. So be willing to be interrupted, even if it might be frustrating. You know, I know my wife comes sometimes and, you know, we have offices in our home, and she'll come knock at my door. And at first she would come in, knock, and just, oh, hey, I have something, this and that. And I would tell her, it's not a good time. This is not a good time.
That's so funny.
And she's like, well, when is it a good time? But anyhow, I learned.
Make an appointment.
I learned. Oh, yeah, I would tell her that.
Make
She
an
didn't
appointment.
she did not like that. She's like, I'm your wife.
I live here.
So, but anyhow, I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I'm not 100%
Sure.
there, but I had to learn it's okay to be interrupted. If my wife has a need, it's okay to be interrupted, you know?
Yeah.
So be willing.
Yeah.
Be willing.
Oh, man. That is something that I definitely am living in with 3 kids
Oh my
at
God.
home. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my God.
Like,
with kids, man,
like-
your whole life is an interruption.
I mean, sometimes I have to set some very clear boundaries, and I'm like, I'm literally in the bathroom, and I cannot help you with anything.
I'm sorry.
Why are you asking me when your dad is right down the hall?
there.
Like,
Go talk to him.
I can't do anything. You know, do not interrupt me in this moment in time. You know, but there are times, of course, you know, especially for me as a mom, that I've learned, you know, when my kid is reaching out to me in whatever way, like, stop the dishes, stop the laundry, cleaning this counter right now is definitely never more important than my child.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and so, you know what, the counter's going to be dirty again in like 10 minutes anyway. So I'm going to set this down, and sure, let's go play this game, or let's go outside. And those moments of me showing my kid that you're always important to me, you know, is one of the biggest, I think, things that they'll remember about their childhood. Like, Mom made time for me.
Oh, man, that's huge.
You know,
they'll remember that for the rest of their life. And I think that, you know, a lot of people don't want to inconvenience someone else.
Sure.
Or because they feel like, oh man, you know, this is not the appropriate time, or this person's busy, you know. A lot of times people tell me, oh, I was going to call you, Pastor, but I know you're so busy, you know, and I keep telling people and try to train people, I'm not too busy for you.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because this is one of my main things, is to
people.
take care of you, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, especially our leaders, you know, and I tell them, hey, don't hesitate. It's okay, no matter what I'm doing, you know. And
so
little by little, people get that into their heart, and then they realize, it's okay. It's okay to interrupt sometimes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But be willing to be interrupted. And then second, be willing to take the risk to help. You know, be willing to take the time to help out and do your very
really
best.
good.
You know, you might not be able to meet all the need, but you might be able to meet some of the need.
That's true.
You know, because as you respond to people in love, your co-workers, your neighbors, your own kids, your family, your spouse, people will see Christ's love emanating through your action.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
love is an action.
Yeah, and that's where my mind was just going, is, you know, when we interact with people like this, you know, like in this way of showing that it's okay we're okay with being interrupted if you are in need, or if you're hurting, or whatever. It's a really incredible extension of who God really is, you know?
Absolutely.
And it shows the true characteristics of God. It shows the genuineness of how, you know, God operates with us. God's never too busy for us, you know. And when we do that for others, it shows people, like, number one, oh, there's something different about this person. And then when they find out that it's God, because God is present in your life, it also ministers to them where they're at in their heart, because you're showing that you're willing to meet them where they're at, and God is willing to do that too.
Absolutely. And so I think, in closing, love is an action. Some people say, well, I don't feel it. Well, it's not about feeling it. It's about acting.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we need to realize is that after you act, you will have some feelings.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
You know,
that's
the emotion will come after the motion.
Yeah.
So motion produces emotion.
That's really
so
good.
that's why love is an action.
Yeah.
Because when you act to help someone, to benefit someone, man, it's going to come back to you.
That's
You're going to feel so good about yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to feel so good about your relationship with God and others and so on and so forth. So
really
you
good.
will be immediately rewarded when you act
That's so good.
to benefit others.
Very true.
So we just want to encourage you to step out,
Yeah.
you know, from your comfort zone, love somebody, you know, act to benefit people, because it's going to come to you in just such an amazing reward that you'll get hooked on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Seize the moment, man. Seize the moments around you, you know, to be that extension of the love of God to other people, because God gives it to you, He gives it to me all the time, and it's not just for us to keep for ourselves, it's also to give to other people, because as this whole, you know, little series is called, you know, love really does matter. Love makes a difference in people's lives. So also, I wanted to just remind you guys that if you're watching us on YouTube, to make sure you like and subscribe. And also, there's a little bell right there that if you click on that bell, you'll get the notifications as soon as we pop up a new episode every Wednesday.
Give you a notice.
And then if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, there's 3 little dots at the top right corner. Click on those dots and click share episode, and share this with somebody, because this is something that you know, honestly, no matter where you are with faith and God, I really believe that it gives a good perspective of why love really is important.
Yeah, that's right.
And we need that in our world right now.
Absolutely.
So do that for us this week, and we know it will bless somebody else, and we can't wait to see you guys next week.
Thank you for your help, and God bless you. Have a great week.